My name is Lenny van Onselen, and in this video I will explain what value-based conflicts are. Values are what you think are important. Important in life or important in design, work or whatever. A value-based conflict is a conflict between two or more values. You set priorities to a lot of values and sometimes these values don't really match. For example, quality of a product and the cost of a product. High quality means high cost, whereas sometimes you want to have low cost in a product. So that means maybe low quality. So this is an example that occurs quite a lot in design practice. So in the past I experienced value-based conflicts myself. I still do quite often. But when I was a junior designer, I recently graduated from my master's, I wanted to start up my own company. And I truly believed that sustainable innovation was something that I needed to pursue in my company. It was 2007 and at that time this topic was very popular. People were interested in what is sustainable innovation. There were a lot of conferences, seminars. I could organize workshops during the Dutch Design Week. So this was quite amazing, but I couldn't really earn money based on sustainable innovation. I could earn money with creativity workshops, consultancy, workshops, courses, programs, design tutoring. So I could earn my money, but not with my value of sustainable innovation. So this became a bit of a struggle for me. And after a couple years I reflected on this and I thought, is this something that I want to continue pursuing or do I want to do something different? And at that point somebody asked me to become a lecturer in industrial design engineering at Hague University. And here I could pursue this value a lot. I could set up courses and minors and all kinds of things related to sustainable product design. So this was quite awesome for me. And I became coordinator of a course called International Insights Research. And in this research we stimulated students to set up a project based on their own core values, their own motivation, what was their interest. And we also asked them to find partners, collaborative partners, that they could co-work in this project. But that was pretty hard. Students find it hard to set up agreements with partners about their values. The students find it hard to pursue their own values continuously, so they may shift towards the values of somebody else in that project. Or they were rather opportunistic, choosing something totally different but gave them a great opportunity for learning. So this became an interesting topic for me because of my own experience. I thought, is it something that more people do experience? So I started interviewing designers, experienced designers, interns, all kinds of people of different ages, and this became something really interesting and I started pursuing my PhD in this. So in design, it's not the case that you work alone. It's not an individual practice where you can pursue your personal values in an assignment. It might have been this case, or for some it still is, but in general you are set to collaborate. Collaborate with your client, with your supplier, with your stakeholders, with your users. All kinds of people are part of the project and you need to follow their values as much as your own. So this diverging value perspectives that are part of design is sometimes the reason why you experience value-based conflicts. Your values might be different from the values of somebody else. Or you have two values that are the same, but you want it for yourself and the other one wants it for himself. You have a different perspective in the same value. For example, with power or ambition, these kind of values are quite personal and might become competitive. I'll explain a little bit more about this later. So I came to an understanding or a question that the problem was that how can we support junior designers to better cope with these value-based conflicts. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that. So I will explain a little theory. There are two types of values. There's intrinsic There's basic psychological needs, and there's extrinsic values, about rewards and praise of others. And these two type of values may be in conflict. An extrinsic value may oppose an intrinsic value. For example, an extrinsic value might be ambition, whereas an intrinsic values might be helping others. And this is what we call a seesaw effect. A seesaw effect is thus an extrinsic value opposing an intrinsic value. You also have two competing values, so two extrinsic values that might be in conflict. For example, your own ambitions with the ambitions of somebody else, or your need for social recognition as a professional and the power or the control of somebody else. That might be in conflict with your social recognition. So these two things might happen. So you have either the seesaw effect between an extrinsic and an intrinsic values, or two competing extrinsic values as a value-based conflict. So how can you handle value-based conflicts? In my research I find a certain process that designers go through. And not everybody follows this process exactly, but I could distill kind of an ideal process that you could follow. So first of all, you experience the value difference. Once knowing that a value difference might exist, still you can try to handle this value difference with discussion, with involving people, with defending your idea. There are all kinds of actions that you could take to handle the situation. But it can be that this value difference becomes such a struggle, such a frustration, and it gets not resolved, that a critical moment occurs. And in this critical moment you don't know, or you cannot handle the situation anymore as you used to. So in this critical moment, the frustration becomes too much. And after that, it's time for reflection. So you leave the situation, maybe you go home, maybe you do something else, maybe you take a time out. And in this time out, or it's moment for yourself, reflection happens. So you can reflect on your actions, or maybe on your values. I will go into that later. And after this reflection, you might get an insight on how to improve the situation, how to become a better professional. And I will give you a few examples also later on. So first of all, going to reflection. Reflection can be on action. So you reflect what kind of alternative actions you could take, how to handle the current context. So another action could be that you involve somebody else, a third party, and that might resolve the situation. After a while, it was not only reflection on action, but also on their values, and also actions to prepare for future situations. So reflecting on values might be that you think, okay, maybe I was too set on getting the idea perfect, and maybe I should focus more on the commercial aspects of design of a product. So the designer is reflecting on the values that they have a priority for. You can also prepare yourself and change your future actions for a new context. So for example, you might have become really defensive about the situation, and you think by yourself, maybe next time I should take a time out and start reflecting. Or I should approach people more careful instead of pushing too hard. You start with experience and value difference, then you have this critical moment, and you should build in a reflection moment for yourself. And you don't have to do this by yourself. You can also seek support from other people. Your mentor, a trusted colleague, a coach. It could be anyone, also family. So build this reflection moment in for yourself. You can either reflect to adjust the current situation, or you can reflect to improve for new contexts. And after this reflection, try to formulate an insight that you gained from experiencing this value difference and your reflection on this value difference. For example, you could start involving people better in the project. But I saw a lot with junior designers that they really want to solve the issue themselves, that they work on themselves rather than involving people early on to avoid a lot of value differences. You could change your perception. So if you're really strong on a certain idea, why not change the perception and look at it from another way? I think this is really important as well for a designer to have this skill. And you can develop yourself as a professional, you can improve your communication skills, your presentation skills, all kinds of things that you could do to improve as a professional. And yeah, if you're an entrepreneur, you work for yourself as a freelancer, then of course you can focus on improving your entrepreneurial skills. What kind of projects do you choose? How do you set up assignments? How are you in contact with the client? Do you have a lot of influence, or are you subcontracted instead of the main contractor? So these are things to also to consider and improve yourself on. So I hope this video on the basics of value-based conflicts help you a little bit on the introduction to this. And if you need any help, I'm working on a couple of things, a workbook, a course on Instagram, and yeah, you can also contact me, and we can discuss if we can set up a meeting, or I can help you out in another way. So thank you for watching this video. Goodbye.